Good morning, everyone. It's all black and white, isn't it, this morning? What do we make of, I think it's a truly emotional, quite incredible 90 minutes and more at the Memorial Stadium yesterday. 10-man Notts County staging their own late show, stepping on the gas, a 1-0 win at Bristol Rovers. Seldom, I suspect, for many of our fans, has an away result been more delightfully received. Did you see it coming? Honestly, at half time, I think if we went around conducting a straw poll of what we thought of Notts' performance at half time compared to the end of the game, I doubt it could ever have been more chalk and cheese. But that's what football's about, isn't it? It's what makes football the greatest of all games. Wonderful, wonderful scenes. Great for the players, great for the head coach and the coaching staff. Delighted for Kelle Roos. We did mention on Friday night, could Kell produce man of the match, a worldie? It would transform the complexion tremendously. It's exactly what he did in the second half, wasn't it? 3 great saves. The crossbar came to our rescue as well. Great occasion. Wonderful to see so many Notts fans there, lots of young Notts fans, and irrespective of where we are in the league, in terms of a 4th tier of English football, I think that's the sort of game that will live in the memory of Notts fans for a long, long, long time. Seldom can there have been more of a smash and grab than that one. Matty Dennis going joint top of the Notts goal scoring charts with 8 alongside Alassane Jatta. No game this coming weekend, but the stage is now set for a great occasion against MK Dons a week on Tuesday night. Should be a fantastic game. We know then if we were to beat MK, we would go into the automatic promotion places. Currently, we're 3rd and 4th. There's the small matter in December. What do we think of our run of fixtures before the new year? MK Dons away, Grimsby away, Walsall at home, Chesterfield away, MK Dons away. So that's a tough old set of fixtures, but we can go into that with much, much, much more renewed confidence after yesterday's result. Trust everyone is happy. Let's hear your thoughts and your views. All achieved with just 10 men after Tyrese Hall's red card. I've had a look at it on the highlights. Got to say, for me, clearly was a bad foul on him seconds earlier. But when that's not given, I did think it was a red card, if I'm honest with you. I thought it was a lunge. I thought it was late. Clearly born out of frustration. I don't see Notts can make any appeal on that one, and young Tyrese will hopefully learn a lesson and likely to be out, I think, with 3 games for violent conduct. Your thoughts and views on that red card as well. Your thoughts on Kelle Roos, man of the match. This was a proper man of the match performance by Kell. I know he got one earlier this season from the sponsors, which had us all scratching our heads. Was it Cambridge? We were all scratching our heads a little bit. But that was a true, proper man of the match performance. As always, thank you to our official partners, Big Shed at the Trent Navigation and their new venue over the road, and also to JH Accountants. Let's dive into the message boards now. First spotters badge this morning, Jonathan Hammocks. Morning, Jonathan. I know we're not playing at the minute, but you cannot fault effort and doggedness that Patterson has installed in the team. Martin deserves a huge credit for this. He goes on, there is a case, is there not, for playing 2 up front? I would like to see this in the upcoming home game against MK. Now, that match will be a true marker to where we are and our aspirations for promotion. Bale and Ball, morning all. I love the new keeper. Where did we get him from? A great 3 points. Jonathan just comes back again. Finally, I think massive shout out to the Notts fans yesterday. That is some effort taking that amount to Bristol so close to Christmas, and with the budget taking more taxes. A great reward with the win. Indeed, it was. 1,300 Notts fans made that journey. Great atmosphere, great atmosphere. Bud Chatwin, morning all. Excellent 3 points. Play like that against MK Dons, though. We will lose 5-0. Look, I'm sure we won't lose 5-0. As far as I'm concerned, we could play worse and win 1-0. If ever yesterday proved anything, it's that a result just transcends everything else, doesn't it? Do we have as low as 30% possession? Clearly, we only had 10 men, but yeah. Greza Maxwell. Could have all the speculation on getting a new keeper through the door concentrated Ruse's mind a little, Greza asks. Tim Watchorn, 98 minutes of the best support I have witnessed in years. Yes, support can win matches. Ruse, man of the match. Lovely to see him at the end with the fans. Must have boosted his confidence. Morning Flack, says Pythagorean. Just for Phil Stant, that is all. This is going back to the long-held rivalry with Bristol Rovers that goes back to a Leyland Daff regional final or something in 1990. Greza Maxwell again. Man of the match for Ruse. Am I right in saying that because of JJ's and Palmer's injuries, that's the first league game without a player playing from our promotion winning side? Hang on, still relatively early and I'm still on the coffee. Right, so that's the first time we will have played a game in the league without anyone from our promotion winning side. Obviously Palmer missed quite a few games last year. Did any of them coincide with JJ missing last year? I'm trying to think. Oh, I do love a little smash and grab on an away day, says Greza. Pythagorean, we missed Palmer, a player where you can give a ball to and look up where to pass to. MK will be very difficult. Ian Cooksey, hopefully our much maligned keeper, and I'm one of his biggest critics, admits Ian, now gets his act together and play like that more often. The big picture people. Finally, revenge for the Leyland Daff Trophy in 1989. If you still hate Bristol Rovers, clap your hands. Yes, all the people under about 40. What on earth is this rivalry? It stems back to a particularly frenetic and hotly contested Leyland Daff game in which we came out on the wrong side of the result. Richard Hawksworth. Morning, Paul. I told you at half time. Yes. Rich there. Hopefully that late goal from Matty Dennis helped Rich from Royal Marlow not worry so much about the impending mansion tax. Hopefully takes his mind off it. I think I also asked a question, didn't I, on Friday? And I said, what will it take? What will it take for Notts to play a flat back four? Well, we've got the answer, haven't we? We've got the answer. We have to have a player sent off in the 35th minute. And then we play a flat back four second half. I suspect now we will not see a flat back four again until 2028. But enjoy the flat back four in the second half. Martin Patterson was talking about how not set an experiment and prepare for games when you've only got 10 men. And clearly, Notts got through it. Change of formation. 4-4-1 did the business. Gosport Magpie. Surreal moment at the Memorial Ground listening to your Friday evening podcast. Stood behind the goal, watching Ruse warm up, and you saying you hope he has a worldie this afternoon. Prophetic words. Richard Elvin, morning, Richard. First kick of the ball by Gordon was his assist. What an entrance! Was that a pre-assist or assist? I think that's a full assist. I don't know whether there was a pre-assist in that movement. Richard Elvin goes on. Crowd and team reaction was phenomenal. Richard Elvin says, I hope Dan Crowley starts for MK Dons in our game at Meadow Lane on the 9th. Ted Wales and 2 Up. That's a new one. Great performance at the Alamo by the Brave 10. Bud Chatwin on Tyrese Hall. Yes, for me, it was a 100% red card. Rush of blood. Needs to learn. Might give Jarvis a chance to prove himself. It was interesting yesterday. And it was difficult. We're all trying to second guess team news and why, perhaps Ness was on the bench. Platty was in. Obviously, there'd been this bug that had gone through the ranks because Traore had jumped above on the bench Jarvis. And I guess, I suspect this was how the players were recovering from that bug that had gone through the club. Lippy Jane. Loved to see the team spirit, goal celebration, and fist bumps. Fans were superb. Wish I was there, but at Bradford City for my sins at a birthday do. You missed a cracker, Lippy Jane. It was a real great experience, I thought, yesterday. A real great experience. Ones that I think Notts fans will remember and talk about for a long, long time. And that is what football is all about. Richard Elvin, yes, get Jarvis in for Hall while he's suspended. And again, Richard speculates he was caught up with the sickness in the camp. Richard Elvin goes on. If another keeper does come in, it brings more competition for Ruse. Doesn't mean he loses the number 1 spot. I think the key point with that goalkeeping situation is that it would appear at the minute Martin thinks the 2 young keepers that we've got, Perro and Griffiths, aren't yet ready to play in the first team. So therefore, Ruse is kind of an automatic pick. I guess when they're looking at the goalkeeping permutations, we would only be signing a goalkeeper. I still expect us to sign a keeper. He would only sign a keeper that he believes he can put in to a League 2 game. And I guess that then leads to the competition, and we see where we go to. Steph Milek. It's been a long time since I've celebrated a goal like yesterday. Shocked at the stewarding yesterday. Stairwells were full of people who couldn't sit down. Yeah, when I got there very early. On the train, as you probably saw on the blog, which was a bit of an epic journey, 3 or 4 changes, hobbling as fast as I could from platform 7 up the stairs, along the landing, and down the stairs to platform 9 to catch a train that we had 1 minute at Birmingham New Street at the connection time. And there were a lot of Notts fans, to be fair. They all caught it easily. I am hobbling down the stairs, shouting at the guard not to shut the doors. But we all got it, and that got us into, some went to Temple Mead, some of us got off at Bristol Parkway. So I was there nice and early. And I did speak, the first steward I spoke to said, do we need to sit in the exact seats? And the guy said, yes. I've walked up the steps and I just checked with the guy. I said, no, we've been told by the supervisor, it's sit where you want. So, which obviously helps me because I can sit on the end of an aisle. And you're quite right. They proceeded not to move for the entire 90 minutes, and everyone was kind of left to fend for themselves. In theory, there should have been about 100, 200 spare seats, I believe. But yeah, you're quite right. We stood up down the aisles. But look, I guess in a way, it all contributed to a great atmosphere and a great occasion. We were all housed under that roof. It was open air last time I went, and great noise. And we all, of course, now look back in the context of having won 1-0. Like I said, I think at half time, a straw poll would have had most of us saying, "What on earth is going on?" I think I counted our actual first shot and goal was Scotty Robertson when he went for goal from the halfway line with the keeper out of his box, if you remember. That was about the 49th minute, I think. But hey, doesn't matter. Result. Richard Hawksworth. Yes, Rich. Despite the great result, the first half showed how much we missed the quality in the number 10s and out wide that we have lost over the last year or two. Steve Silver, not wanting to take the shine off yesterday, it were brilliant away day scenes after the match with the fans. Brilliant. Proud of everyone who turned up and backed the team. Derek Flowers. Flat back 3 or 4, Rovers still had plenty of chances. Ian Cooksey. But they couldn't take them, could they, Derek? That's all that matters. The only stat that counts. Bristol Rovers 0, Notts County 1. The rest is history, as Ian Cooksey invokes his inner Jimmy Sybil. Gosport Magpie. Watching Notts for the first 35 minutes with 11 men, our passing was really poor. Rovers were clearly up for it, looking to break their losing streak. Notts was second best at that point. Paul Hawksworth on the 10:16 to London to check out the St Pancras red bricks. Yeah, you got a local history lesson from me on them red bricks at St Pancras, didn't you, on the railways? They all come, those red bricks, from Nottingham, from Mapley. Where else? Mapley Top, where the old Manvers School is, and the other big pit that's now the little housing estate between St Anne's and Colton off Colton Hill. Yeah, all those red bricks come from Nottingham. You didn't know that, did you? Paul Hawksworth goes on. Yesterday was outrageous. Grezzo Maxwell, I still have my original shirt you're sporting, Paul, today. Probably 30 years old now. Yeah, this is Sheffield United manager Chris Wilder used to wear one of these, the number 3. I've got the number 13 match worn. Had the big panel on the back. Yes, I thought we'd go all black and white. All black and white. What else have we got? So let's just pick up yesterday in terms of how important do you think that is for Kelle Roos? How important do you think that is for Martin Patterson and the players? When Richard Stanton gave me a lift back home, which is much appreciated, and we were kind of saying, if that had been 0-0, what would our reaction have been to that game? And I think most of us would have said 6, 7, 10 men for a large proportion of it, didn't play particularly well, but dug in and got a result. But I think what Martin, I think probably Martin's single biggest improvement to our playing style and to the way he sets our teams up is that we stay in games. We stay in games, don't we? We don't tend to give too much silly stuff away. Look, we rode our luck. We rode our luck massively yesterday. I tell you what, when you listen to Martin's after-match interviews, I think he kind of encapsulates what 90% of us are thinking. And we all go, yeah, he's spot on there. Oh, he's dead right. He's dead right. I think yesterday, Paul Hawksworth said this to me. Yesterday was one of the very rare times when you're listening to him. Yeah, really? And Martin was talking about how well we'd played, and in the overall context, we stayed in the game brilliantly. But like several of the posters have already said, I thought first half we were very poor. We were very poor. But Post came to our rescue a couple of times. We stayed in the game. We stayed in the game. And ultimately, as opposed to finding a way, quoting my inner Martin O'Neill, rather than finding a way to lose a game, we found a way to win a game. And that's what all promotion teams do. They don't stroll through 46 games playing wonderful football with 86% possession, 327 box incursions, they dig in, they do some of the nasty stuff. And for me, yesterday was a triumph, really. The only reason we were able to win that game in the 88th minute was because we'd kept a clean sheet, we'd dug in, we'd rode a bit of luck, but we got ourselves into a position in the closing minutes of a game against a team that had lost 7 on the bounce. 7 on the bounce, threw the kitchen sink at us. And to be fair, if they'd had a striker, they might have got, there'd have probably been 1 or 2 up front in the first half. I didn't think they were terrible. I mean, I think Darrell Clarke certainly got a tune out of Rovers yesterday. But they couldn't score, could they? They couldn't get that goal. And as such, every minute that passes in that game, there's a bit more frustration for their fans that seeps into the players. And we're still in a position that just get one shot on target. We didn't have many more. And we can nick everything. And that's exactly what we did. Matt Dennis has this ability, I think, in and around the box, one of the better converters that we've got. And yes, it took a deflection, but he got it out of his feet, didn't he, from that crossfield ball, got it onto his right foot, got the shot off. Deflection, top corner. And, if you are a Bristol Rovers fan, crikey, I mean, what must you think? Having lost 7, dominated a game, have the bonus of playing 10 men for over an hour, and then you fall victim to that sucker punch. But I guarantee it, all the teams that have been promoted in the last 2 years in League Two and League One, for that matter, that won't just be a one-off game. They'll be able to count 4 or 5 of those matches in their promotion season where they've nicked it right at the death. And if you don't do that, you don't get promoted. So I think it's hugely important yesterday. Hugely important after only 1 point from 2 games. If we'd not won yesterday, the inevitable, we're the only team not to have beaten Bristol Rovers in the last 7 defeats and all the rest of it. Right, we've got plenty more messages. I can read something out for that one. Paul Hawksworth. Yes, the old 4-4-2 debate. The team is crying out for 4-4-2 with specific jobs for individuals. Dennis has to be on the pitch along with AJ. I'm sure this is something we'll be picking up with Stell on Monday. Andy Esom didn't get back on the M5 till 6 o'clock after being held in their car park for an eternity. Long trip home via Sutton in Ashfield to Long Eaton, torrential rain to boot. Hey, but Andy, just think, we could have lost. Think what the trip home would have been like then. Gaza Lee, great result. I wasn't able to get yesterday. Laid up with the lurgy. Don't want to be negative, but they are now on an 8-match losing streak. We have to be dogged and streetwise week in and week out. And I do think under this head coach, we're going to be a lot more dogged and a lot more streetwise than any, not just, I think, Stuart Maynard, but others as well. We're going to be more streetwise. Maybe for the purists, we will not be as good a watch, but it's all about getting them points to get us promoted. Steve Silver, looks like Ruse upped his game after yesterday, produced a match-winning performance. Proud of the lad. But Chatwin, Cheltenham is the only game this season we have lost by more than one goal. And the third was because we were pushing for the equaliser. I think you mean Colchester, Bud. Don't worry, I have many of these senior moments. So Colchester is the only game this season we have lost by more than one goal. And the third was because we were pushing for the equaliser. Proves Pato has the player's mind on keeping in the match. Exactly. It's kind of a point I was making. Glad you agree with me, Bud. Yeah, stay in the game. Whatever happens, stay in the game. Andy Esom, laughable booking towards the end when Callum was booked for launching the ball out of the ground towards the Severn estuary. The only thing I would say, and we always try and be balanced and objective here, Flock, on this show, was how Scotty Robertson didn't get a second yellow for that tackle in the dying moments. Is beyond me. You know, it looked an absolute blatant. Whether the referee decided, well, we don't want to be stopping the game and there's only seconds left. I mean, I had that down as an absolute. You know, I thought, well, he's off. He's off. But anyway, we got away with that one. So, Gosport Magpie. I was sitting on the train home with a couple of Bristol Rovers fans who bemoaned their team's failure to take their chances, but praised Notts' defence and said, fair play for taking our chances. Well, I think it was chance. Gosport Magpie. Ian Cooksey. End of the day, we play them again on the last game of the season. I'll take an 88th minute winner to get promoted. Hang on, having a slurp of coffee. Andy Esom says, Bristol have now had 8 successive defeats. That's their worst, by the way, record in their club history. 5 of which they didn't score. Tells a bit of the tale, you know, and that is why Alessandro Jatta and also Matty Dennis are so important to Notts. You know, we have a goal threat from both of them or either of them, depending how we're lining up on the pitch. Pieface 1862. One player who I feel flies under the radar is Max Kuyar. Had a hand in the goal yesterday, runs at defenders and has a decent cross on him. Very good player to have in your squad. Dale Pikett. First 2 trains back to Sheffield were cancelled on the way back, so an hour delay. But who cares? Ole, 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 Notts are going up. And Scott Robertson was a very lucky man to stay on the pitch. Yeah, we just made that very point, Dale. Couldn't agree more. Bud Chatwin, yes, apologies, not awake properly. Indeed, it was Colchester. Okay. What do we think of that whole debate with 4 at the back? I mean, look, it's all academic, right? Because Martin Patterson will do as the professional what he wants when he wants, and it will be a 3. Is it just me being a bit of a dinosaur, or do we think there are? It is not a bad shout to play a 4. You're right in that they had chances second half, but you'd expect them to have chances when we're playing for such a long period of the game with only 10 men. Sometimes when I just look at how the players are lining up, and the flanks for me seem so much more secure with 2 fullbacks and 2 wingers, or 2 wide midfielders, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, for me, first half, and it's not the only time, teams exploit the gaps either side of our 3 centre halves. You know, they hit those diagonals, they hit those longer balls into where a conventional left back would be, or a right winger would be, a right fullback would be, and there seems to be space. You know, I thought that they did, while it was 10 against 10, I thought they attacked as well down the flanks. But I did think second half with that 4, for me, you know, we look more solid, more secure. But I think the reality is it'll be another 3 years before we play 4 at the back. Not entirely sure why, but that seems to be a mantra and a a philosophy, if you like, of the club that, I suspect comes down from on high. And that's the way that we do it. But look, let us not be picky today. A great result. A great result against all the odds, really. And we're fourth in the table. We can go third a week on Tuesday against MK Dons. Kelle Roos, delighted for Kelle. Delighted for Kelle. Look, you cannot not be a professional footballer and expect to not to be put under pressure. It's part of the job. You're in a high profile business. There's never a hiding place for a goalkeeper, and it would not have been easy for him last week. The released Salford keeper coming down. It was in the public domain, and I think fair play to Martin. He was honest and straightforward in his interview on Friday to say that they were being proactive, taking a look at. He said goalkeeper in the plural. But nothing will be happening there. So that tells Kelle that the manager is looking to strengthen that goalkeeping department, and it goes one of two ways, doesn't it? It goes one of two ways. Either it's a case of, oh, I know I'm not really wanted here, and it's hard when you're not wanted. And it's all about fine margins, as Mark Stallard will tell you as a professional. All goalkeepers are 90, 95% there, but it's the 5% that's the difference that makes you a good keeper or not so good keeper. And I think Kelle responded really well on Saturday. I think probably like the rest of them in that opening 35 minutes to the red card, we weren't great. Woodwork came to his rescue twice. But he would have known at half time, 10 men, it was going to be the Alamo. He was going to be busy. And I thought he responded in that second half extremely well. There were two really good saves. He could have overhand right, wasn't it, coming over to get the ball twice. There was a good punch under pressure, like a swirling ball in, which I thought he did well with. And he was in front, of course, of the Bristol Rovers then, wasn't he, at the far end? And that sort of result, that clean sheet, that emotion that was shown after the game between him, the players, and the fans, can that be a bit of a springboard for him now? We went through the fixtures earlier in the programme. MK Dons, Grimsby, Walsall, Chesterfield, MK Dons a second time. They're all big games. They'll all be a great atmosphere. They're all going to be played in front of big, they'll all be 10k crowds at Meadow Lane, and it will be volatile at Grimsby, and it will be volatile at Chesterfield. I hesitate to use the word volatile at MK Dons with their big stadium, but they're going to be games, every one of them, that as a professional you want to play in. And let's hope that result and that performance from Kelle just gets him moving forwards. I think it has been a bit of a slog for him this season. He will not have been immune to the criticism. He will not have been immune. So yeah, hopefully springboard. Some more thoughts on from the message board. Killer Klein. I thought Macari was caught out a few times in the first half, but excellent as a right back second half. Yeah, I mean, look, hey, what do I know? Yeah, I am an amateur. Okay, amateur. For me, Lou Macari. I saw Lou Macari on Friday. Lewis Macari is far more suited to being a right back. I mean, it's a personal opinion. I know nothing, faulty towers. But for me, he's far better suited to being right back than the right of three centre halves. It's fine. He's done really well. We spoke about the personal journey that he's had to be through. But personal view, he's a right back but I think he can play right back very successfully. Richard Elvin from the commentary seemed Ruse caught more than punched yesterday. I think what it was, Richard, was he kind of made the right choices. So when he punched, he got distance, and he was able to collect some balls. Bristol weren't, someone said to me, they're one of the few teams we've played this season that physically and in stature and height were a smaller team than us. Which I thought was a very good point. Not many. Most of it is land of the giants in League Two, which of course can cause us problems. And it's something that Martin Patterson talks about, culture and how we're trying to combat. But yeah, I think Bristol Rovers were a smaller side than us, and I think that definitely helped us yesterday. Andy Adcock. Kelle's instinctive shot stopping hasn't been questioned. It's the other aspects of his game that have let him down. Ian Cooksey, yes, big games coming up from that list that you've given out in December, Paul, but it's not Real Madrid. Indeed, it's not. They are winnable, and you can guarantee Martin Patterson will be saying the same. But Chatwin, if we have 4 at the back, we will be dropping one of our best players from McDonald, Ness, Platt, Macari, or Bedo. Indeed, but the reality, I think, Bud, this season is that I'm struggling to think of more than 2 or 3 games when McDonald, Ness, and Platt have all been fit for the same game. Platt has been out a long time. Ness was out for a long time before he came in. But great problems to have. And look, and I'm not for 1 minute saying that we'll be playing a flat back four. I don't think that we will. I think we'll go back to a 3. But it would be nice to mix it up a bit more in games, maybe keep the opposition guessing. And sometimes I think the more basic you play a football formation, at League 2 level, I think the more the players understand the role and it is simplified for them. And I think clarity in your job, clarity in your responsibility is very important, not just in football, but in whatever job it is that you do. Okay. So then, what else have we got from today? You saw the other results. Interesting ones. MK Dons won again. Sorry, Bud Chatwin's coming back. I would prefer 5-3-2. Yeah, we all start playing the numbers now, don't we? We all start playing the numbers. What about 2 up top? We kind of just play the 1. I think we experimented with both Dennis and Jatta up front in a home game, didn't we? I think. Do we think that is the way to go for home games or not? Both have got 8. Both have got 8 this season, I think. So I'm not quite sure who we think will end up top scorer. Notts County Golden Boot. For me, I still think Jatta. In a way, they're different types of players, aren't they? Jatta, strong, powerful, leads the line well with just a sole striker. I think Matty Dennis is not necessarily as industrious, but in and around the box, he's got that ability to get the ball out of his feet, find the corners, bottom corners of net, top corners of net, like he did, albeit with a deflection yesterday. And I guess if you're Matty Dennis, he's come off the bench. He got the penalty, didn't he, against Harrogate? I would imagine that he's clearly looking for more game time. He's got 8 goals. He hasn't actually started that many games at all this season. Richard Elvin says, I would start Dennis at the expense of Jatta and add Jatta as required. So someone going there for Matty Dennis rather than Alessania. Greza Maxwell, start with 10 on the pitch. It gives us an extra sub. Indeed, Greza. Retaining your sense of humour as always. Matty Palmer. I think Pythagorean made a point earlier in the programme saying how he thinks we're going to miss him. From what the club said on Friday, it appears that he's going to be out for a lengthy period. What are our thoughts on that? How difficult do you think that we'll be able to overcome? Yesterday, the manager started with Iapenda. I thought he might start with Norban, but he went with Iapenda to replace, if you like, Matty Palmer alongside Scotty Robertson. Thoughts on that? But Chapman says, I think we need 5 at the back against MK as they score a lot, and 2 up front as they concede very few. Put pressure on the defence. Ian Cooksey. To put into context the difficulty of our next 2 away games, Grimsby have not won at home since the 18th of October. Is that right? Chesterfield have not won at home since the 11th of October. We've not lost away since the 27th of September. Some good research there, Ian, who goes on to say, by the way, nice to see Crewe lose to a 95th minute penalty yesterday. I mean, again, we've spoken about it's going to be so tight this season. A point on Chesterfield. We're playing me golf at Coxmoor, and there's a few Chesterfield fans there. Chesterfield fans are actually very, very restless and unhappy at the minute, and they're kind of going through some of the pains that we went through as a fan base. They feel that Chesterfield are far too elaborate on the ball, keep possession for possession's sake, want a more direct approach. And I think to say, at the minute, I don't think the Chesterfield fan base, although they're clearly in a reasonable position, fan base is a bit agitated about it all. So we'll see. But, what I think is great about December, when you look at those 5 games, MK Dons twice, Grimsby, Walsall and Chesterfield, there's not one of them games where it ain't going to be an occasion. I think that, for me, one of the big takeaways from yesterday was that it was a great occasion. It was great theatre, wasn't it? We had a massive away following. We're all under the one stand. Loads of noise. Loads of the flock were all coming up to say hello to me, and everyone seemed, I don't quite know necessarily why, but everyone seemed to be in a pretty good mood before the game. There was a bit of kind of there's always camaraderie, but it just seemed a bit more like a feel-good factor and like a big game atmosphere because of the size of our following and the noise that was being sort of hemmed in that stand, and then the sheer drama at the end of the game. We don't do too many late winners, do we? We don't do too many, and certainly not in the circumstances of basically being really on the back foot for the vast majority of that game. So yeah, I really enjoyed yesterday. Really enjoyed it. And as I said at the start of the program, I saw a lot of younger Notts fans. I was on the train going down. There was one Notts fan I sat next to because all the trains were really busy, and he'd come from, I think, from Kirkby and Ashfield, and he'd missed his bus to get to Nottingham, so he had to get a tram somewhere, then another bus, and finally got into Nottingham station before we were on 3 separate trains to get to Bristol. And I looked around on the carriage, and there were a lot of Notts fans, and all a really young age demographic, which is really good. And I noticed that at the ground yesterday as well. And for them lads, what a great away day. What a great away day. And as I said, I think a lot of people will remember that game for a long, long, long time to come. But Chatwin, I hope Boxing Day they give us a big allowance of away fans at Chesterfield. They're not, bud. They're giving us about 1,000. They've started to move the away following down to a side. We used to be behind the goal, didn't we? It's not a big capacity at Chesterfield, and basically they can largely fill it with home fans. So they've moved the away section and made that into a smaller allocation now. So we've got 1,000. Went on the sale to season ticket holders with 10 or more, and there's still plenty left. So it should go through. I think, is it Monday or Tuesday? You'll need to check online for when it becomes available for fans with 5 away stamps from last year. But apparently quite a lot of Notts fans doing other things on Boxing Day. Look, clearly Notts are going to sell them very quickly, but it's not necessarily sold as many out to the fans with 10 stamps as the club might have expected to under normal circumstances. Ian Cooksey, reading the Chesterfield message board last night, they want Cook out. It's interesting. I think Paul Cook's done a brilliant job there. But I guess we always want progression, don't we? We always want progression. As I say, I do believe some of the fans are getting a bit aggrieved at the minute. Greza Maxwell, could we get another 5-all away draw at Grimsby with our very own Jim O'Brien at the wheel for this one? His only game at the helm. What a game that was. And lots of people came up to me yesterday in Bristol and said, we're really keen to come to the Jim O'Brien gig. Have you got the details yet? I'll have them by the end of the week. We're just sorting out a date because obviously Jim trains them Sheffield United under 18s now. So we're just sorting out a schedule for Jim that marries up with the new venue over the road, which is opposite the Trent Navigation and the big shed where we've been before for our gigs. It's literally right underneath the Jimmy and Brian Clough mural. Excellent mural. It's under there. It's a lovely venue. It's enclosed. It'll be nice and warm. Don't worry. So as soon as I got that date, we're going to put tickets on sale, and maybe they're Christmas presents for people. As I say, a lot of people have been on to me, so I think it's going to be a very popular evening. And Jim will be, talking, I think, quite candidly. This is not, inverted commas, an official club function. Jim's a straight talker, and I think we're going to find out, a lot of things that we don't necessarily know in the public domain about what went on in terms of dropping out the league and coming back into the league. Talking of Christmas presents, I sold another 2 as a result of Friday. David Caton's been on. So you need a Christmas present? Get in touch or go online to Eat My eBay store. 20 quid includes postage. 200, look how thick it is. Look at that, eh? 2 kilograms, this book. Everything you ever needed to know about Notts County in there, with all the interviews with all the greats from the past. Pie face. MK Dons game will be fascinating with Grant and Dennis. Yes, I had not thought of that. As former Dons against ex-Pies Naman. Apparently he was MOM yesterday. And Crowley. Crowley's currently injured. I think his appearances have been fairly limited under Paul Vaughan. Vaughan Matthews. Yes, this is Vaughan from Sherborne, a lovely place in deepest Dorset. Very nice. Been there once. For me, Dennis is the player up front. He reads the game well. Jatta is an opportunist. The 2 players up front create a formidable attack and impose authority in the box. Gary Pearce, we almost got through a game without the ref taking a bit of flack. Worst ref for many a year. He lost control by not dealing with increasing fouls. His non-decision led to the sending off. and this, of course, was Tyrese Hall red card after a nasty foul on him, and that's kind of shaped the way he's made what, to be fair, was a bad challenge, and for me, a red card challenge. If that is how we are going to play for the rest of the season, however, I am really concerned. Poor ball control, movement and passing. Why have we started dropping deep, bringing extra pressure? I guess clearly for 65 minutes, that's entirely understandable with the sending off. But I agree, Gary, the first half an hour, I thought we were poor. But we stayed in the game and we won the game. So that absolves us of just about everything. Gary Pearce says, in terms of the striking options, Dennis gets my vote. Jatta always the wrong side of defenders. Okay, we've done 50 minutes, 45 plus 5 of stoppage time. I'm sure lots of you will have or have had so far an enjoyable weekend. Hope you continue to have an excellent Sunday. Look forward to seeing you all Monday evening. Here's one for you. This one made me smile. Many, as I said, many of the flock came up yesterday. We had some good chats, and a guy came up and he was saying to me, I'll try and choose my words carefully. He said, "Oh yeah, you don't know me, Paul." He said, "But my dad's a regular on your show." So, okay, great. He said he's always writing in. He said he's often moaning, but he said he's fine. And but apparently, and what does the flock think of this? He posts under his wife's name, so if he gets any flack, he can say it's his wife that's been dishing out the criticism, not himself, which I thought was quite funny. But anyway, look, your thoughts and views are always most gratefully accepted. It's great to chat with you on here, and great to chat with so many of you yesterday. Patrick from Ireland, who now lives in the Vale of Belvoir. He came up and said hello. He's bought me book, among many others. Mr. Hawksworth from Royal Marlow, short trip from him. I think I saw Dave King there as well. Yeah, lots of us. Great occasion. Enjoy it. Carpe diem and all of that sort of thing. We'll be back with Mark Stallard, finally, not on a break, not on a holiday. It's a rarity, I know. 7 o'clock Monday evening for the professionals' views. He will shoot us down in flames about how we want a flat back four and all sorts of other things going on. But for now, thank you very much indeed. Thank you to our official partners, Big Shed at the Trent Navigation and to Over the Road at Trent Navigation, and also to JH Accountants. We'll be back Monday evening, 7 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you all. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.